I'm Denae DRC.
And I'm David Walker. Thank you for joining us for this special election night edition of KVAL News. Now let's get right to the numbers. Obama reached the 270 electoral votes needed fairly early this evening to win the White House, Oregon giving him 7 of those votes. Here's a look at the results of the popular vote, and you can see Barack Obama with 52% of the popular vote to John McCain's 47%. Now look at the numbers from here in Oregon, and they tell an interesting story with Barack Obama 56% and John McCain with 42%.
Obama's victory in Oregon tonight is not a surprise. He consistently led in the polls. Oregon has a strong Democratic trend. The state has gone to the Democratic candidate every election since 1988.
Well, Barack Obama has been celebrating in Chicago tonight. More than 120,000 ecstatic supporters gathering in Grant Park there to celebrate the historic day.
Here's President-elect Barack Obama.
It's the answer told by lines that stretched around schools and churches.
Meantime, Republican John McCain was in Phoenix tonight, where he conceded shortly after Obama clinched the nomination.
And here's what he had to say about the election and his opponent.
Senator Obama has achieved a great thing for himself and for his country. I applaud him for it.
Well, during the campaign for president, Obama visited Oregon several times, and while reporting on the campaign trail, David had the opportunity to interview him a couple of times. And I wanted to pause and maybe just ask you, Dave, what was it that you saw in Obama you think American voters saw?
It was really interesting. The first time that I saw Obama was in Albany, as a matter of fact, and he really took over the crowd. He set a direction. He owned the crowd. They were just all excited, and I think he tapped into the hearts and minds of voters. You know, he talked about change. He talked about hope. Well, at that rally, I watched the excitement of the crowd. The anticipation was incredible, almost a frenzy. They had the music going. It was well orchestrated, but they were waiting for Barack Obama to appear, and when he did, he was very calm, totally in control, went through his talk. He asked questions. He showed some humor. He certainly showed some passion. Afterwards, I visited with him, and I found him to be very accommodating. He was very personable. Couldn't have been a nicer guy. In fact, he really reminded me of Bill Clinton, who I interviewed a couple of times, in that he was engaged. He was, you know, appeared to be a very good listener, very hospitable, which you don't always expect from people. But I think that's what made him attractive to a lot of people.
People see the warmth in him, too.
Very good. We're going to check some of the other top races tonight. Oregon's U.S. Senate race has been a contentious one this year, complete with a lot of money, huge spending, and no shortage of mudslinging.
Let's go right to Jennifer Winters now in the KVAL Election Center. She's following the race between incumbent Republican Gordon Smith and Democratic challenger Jeff Merkley. Jen, what's the latest?
Boy, this is such a nail-biter, Denae and David. The Merkley-Smith race has been watched around the nation as Democrats try to increase their majority in the U.S. Senate. Let's look at those numbers. They have been trending more and more towards Gordon Smith. Now, Jeff Merkley had a much larger lead earlier in the evening. The percentage is 47 to 47. You can see just about 4,000 votes separate Jeff Merkley and Gordon Smith. But look at the story here. Dave Barlow with 6% of the vote, 49,000 votes. Some believing that many of those votes would have gone to Gordon Smith, maybe plain spoiler tonight. Both candidates are in Portland tonight watching these numbers roll in, a race that is still too close to call. Jeff Merkley is watching with fellow Democrats at the Oregon Convention Center. Gordon Smith is at Portland's Benson Hotel. Both candidates are speaking right now, and we'll bring you what they're saying as soon as we can. But here is what Merkley and Smith's campaign managers had to say just a bit ago.
This is a David versus Goliath. Every time that you run against an incumbent, it's something, defeating an incumbent happens once a generation. But it happens when our nation is off track and we need to make a significant correction. And that's where we are right now.
We just got to look at some of the key counties. You got to make sure you're in the high 20s in Multnomah County. You got to look at the Tri-County area. And then around the rural areas of the state, making sure we're performing well there where we traditionally do.
So obviously this race very important here in Oregon, but you know, the nation is watching too, and part of that is because Democrats are trying to get a supermajority in the Senate. Tonight, Democrats have secured 56 seats. That's without this race. Now, if Merkley did hold that very slim lead, it would make it 57. It's close to that magic 60 number that would virtually prevent Republicans from being able to block legislation on the Senate floor, what we call filibustering. Again tonight, that Senate race too close to call, just a few thousand votes separating, Merkley on top and Smith fighting from behind. I'll be back in just a few minutes. I'll take a look at some of the school measures affecting you at home. Back to you.
All right, Jennifer, thank you. Eugene voters sounded off tonight on their choice for mayor.
This is a nonpartisan race, and both candidates have served terms as Eugene mayor in previous terms. Right now, Kitty Piercy is ahead with 51% of the vote. Jim Torrey close behind at 49%.
Boy, very close. Tom Adams has been following the mayor race all night, and he has really been doing a good job keeping track of this very close race.
He joins us now from the election night celebrations at the Lane County Fairgrounds. Tom?
Well, hi, Denae and David. A few folks still left out here at the Lane County All Event Center out here at the fairgrounds, and I sound like a broken record because the margin has not changed one bit between Jim Torrey and Kitty Piercy all evening. About a 3 percentage point difference with current Mayor Kitty Piercy in the lead. Challenger Jim Torrey is here to join us. And Jim, if you were a betting man, how do you think this is going to wind up?
That it'll end up being tomorrow morning and we'll both be asleep on the floor in the middle of this place. But I think that there's still a chance. I'd rather be in first place than in second place right now. But, you know, this really tells the story of where the community is. And when you look at the things where Kitty and I agreed, like the school measures for Lane Community College and 4J, that's the type of thing this city has to deal with in the future. I hope I win. If I don't win, I'll be there to support whoever does win.
Jim, almost $900,000 though has been spent on this race. Is that too much?
It's absolutely too much. I'd be all in favor of a $50,000 maximum expenditure for the mayor's race. I'd like to take the rest of it and give to some kids program.
It's going to be a long night, though. We'll have to see what happens in the morning, it looks like.
Well, yeah, with only 23% of the vote counted, that's, I would tell those people at the elections office, some of us need to get some sleep. But I know you're working hard, too.
Jim, thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
And again, these numbers we just announced to you with only 23% of the vote counted, so there is a long way to go at Lane County Elections Office. No sleep over there tonight. Reporting live at the All Events Convention Center, Tom Adams, KVAL News.
Tom, you may need to pull up a pillow over there at the fairgrounds tonight. Thank you. Let's take a second now to put this mayor race in a little context. It is close, as Tom was talking about. Let's take a look at these candidates.
Kitty Piercy is the current Eugene mayor running for her second term. She campaigned for a balanced approach to Eugene's growth, one that focuses both on attracting large business and homegrown entrepreneurs.
Jim Torrey served as Eugene mayor before Piercy for 8 years. This would actually be his third term if elected. Torrey campaigned on fixing Eugene's potholes during the campaign, as well as making public safety and police funding a top priority.